and therefore that constitutes the wake-up call. If you want to talk about a wake-up call, that's a wake-up call, because you know, to get a rating like that, and obviously it being revealed, you know, in this manner at this time, and what's going on in terms of national affairs, is the kind of situation I think that the government would want to address urgently, because it's an image issue, and therefore that perception index is something that you know, any government seeing a result like that would want to sit up, take stock, and say, look, we've got to do something to address this. And what are we going to do? Well, based on whatever the report is saying, I haven't seen the report myself, but based on what is being suggested, the government has to address that first and foremost from an image standpoint, and then drilling down into the more meaty details that will lie below.
So we're also going to be looking at the issues surrounding the Minister of Works and Infrastructure. We have this situation, he being specifically named in Mr. Joseph's summary of why we have now received this ranking, the issue of the Pure program. Do you think the cards being dealt to the minister at this time would result in the Prime Minister laying another sanction against him?
Well, you know, the issue of laying sanctions, you know, again, this comes back to balancing. It's a balancing act. I mean, if it is that there are issues associated with him that are impacting on the overall image of the government, then that is a matter of concern. But at the same time, if he's a performing minister and he's delivering certain things and he has a certain level of popularity and he has a certain kind of following and the partnership is benefiting from that on the ground, then how do you balance the two? I mean, you have on the one hand the minister, you know, saying certain things and doing certain things, and on the other hand you have international agencies giving ratings and rankings and scorings in respect of Trinidad and Tobago with regard to this. So I mean, it's a delicate balancing act.
Dr. Ghany, the Monday, December 5th is the day. I'm going to tie this into the assassination plot because we're running out of time for this interview. The Prime Minister revealed that the alleged assassination plot, a number of persons have been held. Many are saying that it's tied into the SOE. The Prime Minister is saying, no, it's not. Your closing comments, and was this plot handled the way it should have been handled? The government has been chastised as a result of its handling of this.
Well, I think that it was important that they made it public. You know, that kind of information being held in private, you know, I think that if you have something as serious as that, and you know, people have obviously been detained because there's a state of emergency on, and therefore, from the point of view of the standpoint of the emergency, you can't issue detention orders. They made it public. I think the matter was of such a nature that the Prime Minister took a decision to permit the leader of the opposition to be briefed on confidential national security matters. This was the first. This is something that happens in other more developed countries, where you permit briefings on sensitive national security matters, and it is a kind of situation that you know, was one in which allowing him that mirrored to some extent what happens in the UK, where the leader of the opposition is given briefings on Privy Councillor terms, so that there is that sensitivity. So it broke new ground here. How the leader of the opposition handled it afterwards, I think it was unfortunate. He suggested that he might reveal what had been said and so on, which I didn't think was the best way for him to handle it.
No, he said that wasn't true, though.
Well, then there we are. If that's the case, then you know, then we have to acknowledge that if he said what that.
He obviously was not impressed by what was presented to him.
Well, and we still don't know what was presented, because that is there. But I think that the reality is that in terms of the sharing of a briefing, a national security briefing, I think that has moved the political culture a little more, where the opposition now is allowed that kind of entry into the political process, which I think has changed the way in which we do business.
Should the SOE be extended?
Well, I think that the government has taken a position that they're not going to do it. But if this threat is going to be as a serious one, or if anything happens from this, then you know, they will know what internal intelligence information they have that would lead them to make that decision. Because that is a very serious matter. It's a serious matter for the entire country. This is not a party political matter.
Dr. Ghany, thank you so much. We now take a very short break. We will continue this discussion when we come back. Stay with us.